Again, welcome everybody. My name is Bob Stewart. Today we're going to talk about creating calls to action to generate leads. And we'll do that, like I was just mentioning, from kind of two perspectives. The side of, okay, what are the things we need to do in order to kind of drive people back to our website? And then where on our website are we driving them, or how are we actually going to go about capturing somebody's information or potentially turning them into a prospect or a lead for our business? And so I think it's kind of important to start out very high level. Why do people go online for real estate? And there's a couple of kind of main reasons that people go online. And those main reasons are they go online for listings, home values, and information. And so it's very important to kind of understand this at a very high level. Okay? The primary reason that the folks that would end up becoming a prospect or a lead for our business, the primary reason those folks are going online is to find listings. Okay? Now we have, there's no shortage of places out there where somebody can go to find listings, right? There's definitely the big box sites, the Trulias, the Realtor.coms, the Zillows, the realestate.coms, those sites that get, millions and millions of visitors a month. Now we also have listings on our website, but for most of us, and especially for you guys that are saying, look, I'm getting zero leads, our websites are not necessarily ranking when somebody goes online looking for, homes for sale in Seattle. Let's say that's the query that they did. Now, consumers will also go online for home values, okay? A site like Zillow is a primary example of consumers going online to find home values, and they're getting, millions of views a month from people who are wondering what their home is worth or what their neighbor's house is worth. This last bucket, information, I realize this kind of captures everything else, right? All of the other reasons why somebody would go online, but a lot of these reasons can be serviced by blogs that we're writing. Now, in our last two classes, we've talked about how to get stuff to rank in the search engines. Last week we talked about what are some of the things that we could be writing about, some of the keyword phrases. How do we select these sorts of things? But at the end of the day, a lot of those types of posts that we might be writing, and in the first week's class, I talked about writing posts that focused on subdivisions and condo complexes. Well, then last week we talked a little bit more about that. We also talked about writing posts about like specific features in a home. At the end of the day, if they find a post of that nature, it was probably because they wanted to see the listing. So if somebody went online and they did a search of, bank-owned homes for sale in Green Lake, or they did a search of, homes with a basement in Seattle, something like that, we can create the blog post that gives them, a little bit of information, kind of lets them know what's it like to have a basement on your home in Seattle, what are some of the issues that you might face. But at the end of the day, they probably wanted the listings, okay? So we need to make sure that in really all of our blog posts, to some degree, there is an ability for people to find listings, but especially if our blog, is focused on like a particular condo complex or a particular subdivision, or it's focused on, a particular type of house, maybe a Victorian home in Queen Anne or something like that. If we're focusing on something of that nature, we need to be able to send the consumer back to the listings, and we need to make it pretty seamless and pretty easy, and our ability to get better at doing that will help us to generate more leads. So the first way we can do this, and probably the most obvious way, is going to be the link. Okay, links out of our blog posts back to some other place, which is, it's going to be your website, okay, but some other place, our website, where they can get kind of what they were maybe looking for that our blog might not have been able to serve up to them. So with our link, we're going to make specific anchor text, and I talked in the first class, we talked about having anchor text that matched our keyword phrase, and that being one of kind of the things that could enhance our rankings in the search engines. So we want to make sure we have that specific anchor text. We want to land them in an exact spot, and we're going to go live here in a minute, and then I'll show you what I mean by landing a consumer in an exact spot. we want to make sure that when we're sending somebody via a link back to our website, that when we land them there, they need to take as few clicks as possible to get to what they wanted. Okay, there's a couple of kind of truths in online marketing, and one of those truths is you have about 4 seconds to capture somebody's attention. So when they land on your page, whether it be from doing a query in Google and they've landed on your blog post, or whether it be they've been on your blog post and then they click a link over to your website, you have a very short amount of time to capture their attention. Okay, that's one of the reasons we want to land them in the exact spot. We want them to be seeing what they expected they were going to see, so that they don't, that 4 seconds doesn't expire, they haven't found what they wanted and they left. The other truth is the more clicks it takes somebody to get to what they wanted, the less likely that they will do what you wanted them to do. And in our case, what we're generally wanting people to do is give us their contact information, right? When they get to our website, we want them to find something compelling enough that they want to give us their contact information. And then when we're linking back to our website, especially as it relates to listings, okay, we need to make sure that those listings kind of become the primary focus of the page that somebody lands on. So we look at this screenshot here. I'm going to take you into a live blog post here in a second, and we will actually go through the process of creating a link back to our website in the most effective manner. But this post is a post about homes for sale in Seattle Cedar Park. Okay, Cedar Park is a subdivision inside of Seattle, or an area kind of out in West Seattle. You'll notice that kind of right out of the gates in this post, this person has a link in there with homes for sale in Seattle Cedar Park. And you'll notice that that link, right, you can see it in there in green. It's in that first sentence. Matches the keyword phrase that the person used for the title of their blog post. Now this link is above the fold, and it pretty clearly details what they would expect to get if they clicked on that link. If they clicked on that link, what are they going to find? They're going to find a bunch of homes for sale, hopefully, listings, right, in Cedar Park. When I say above the fold, what I mean by that is when the person lands on my blog post, they don't have to scroll down in order to see that link. Because if they wanted a list of homes for sale in Cedar Park, and they land on my post and they think, and it's not real clear to them where they could get that list of homes for sale in Cedar Park, they might leave. Okay, so we want to make it above the fold. That first link, that first call to action needs to be real obvious right when they land on the page. And the next thing we want to consider is once they click on that link, what are they landing on? Are they seeing properties, right? Is it very obvious for them? Do they not have to do anything? We don't want them to have to take any additional clicks in order to get to the information that they thought they were going to get. So let's go in here. Let's look at this live. And I'm going to do this from a post that I've written about bank-owned properties in Green Lake, Seattle. So this is a draft post. I don't have this thing out there live. I use it as a demonstration. But if somebody was, out there searching Google and they were looking for bank-owned properties in Green Lake, Seattle, and Google decided to serve my post up, when they land on my post, what do you think they wanted? Right? They might have wanted some information about the process of buying a bank-owned home, or kind of what the market's like right now for bank-owned homes in Green Lake. But I need to make sure if they wanted properties, if they just wanted a list of properties, I've got to be able to deliver that list of properties to them fairly quickly. So in here, I've got this kind of above the fold. I've got this chance for them to click here if you want to find the currently available bank-owned properties in Green Lake, Seattle. So we're going to go in and just create a link out of this. And for most of you guys, this will be review. Okay, you know how to create a link. But if anybody out there is going, okay, I don't even know how to create a link, we'll start at that very basic level here. So I'm in here. I've written my post. Now I'm going to create a link out of these words right here. This becomes my anchor text. And the reason that the reason I don't do click here as the words that I want to create the link out of is I want that anchor text, I want those words I'm creating the link out of to match the keyword phrase in my title. Okay, I'm just trying to line all these things up back to week 1 to kind of tell the search engine this is what this post is about, this is what I would hope you would rank it for. So I'm going to get in here and highlight this phrase. And when I highlight this phrase, you'll notice right up here, these little icons become active, right? My ability to create a link. So I'm going to go in here and hit insert or edit link. And then I just need to tell the search engine, well, what page do I want to link to? I type it in there, or I might paste it in there, and I'll show you the paste in a second. My target, here's the deal with the target. I think I might have mentioned this really quickly in a previous class, but if I want the person on the page that I'm sending them to, I'm going to open that link in the same window. Okay? If I'd prefer that wherever I'm sending them, that they come back to my blog post, I'm going to open that in a new window. Right? Same window as if I want them there. So anytime or most of the time that you're linking to your website or to your lead capture mechanism, because in this case, I'll show you in a minute, our website is our lead capture mechanism. If we're linking to our lead capture mechanism, we want to open it in the same window because our blog post has fulfilled its duty, right? It got them over to the place where we hope that we'll capture their information. If we were linking them like to another neighborhood blog or maybe to like the FHA websites where they could get additional information about FHA loans, in that case, we're going to open the link in a new window because it'll force open a brand new window, and they might read about FHA loans, but then when they close that window down, they're back on our blog. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So open it in the same window if you've sent them where you want them. Open it in a new window if you're just sending them off somewhere else to get information, but you'd like them ultimately to get back to your blog post. And then the title, we're going to use just a similar but a slightly different phrase. So in this case, I might say, I might not know how to spell it, but I might want to say foreclosed properties in Green Lake or something. I'm going to hit insert, and now we've got a link heading back to, now that was just back to the home page of my website, right, servingyourteam.com. So that's the simple process of creating a link. But now let's go over and look at my website, and let's kind of see, is that the best place that we could have sent somebody with this link? So I'm going to come over here to my website. And I sent them to this page right here, the home page of my website, right? So if somebody was on this blog post and they were reading through here and they wanted bank-owned properties in Green Lake and they clicked on this and they landed on this page, would that be the best place I could have sent them? The answer is no. Right? Now I've got a search box here, so they could have went in here and started typing in Green Lake, and But the home page doesn't give me all those kind of options of everything somebody could search on my website, so it's not the best place to link them. Now I could have linked them to this page, my search page, right, which is a little bit more effective because now they could have got in here and said, well, geez, we want foreclosures, only foreclosures, but we want them in Green Lake. But notice how much action I'm forcing that person to take, right? They had to figure out the listing type, they had to add the area. These are all additional clicks that they were forced to take in order to get the content they wanted, which in our case was, bank-owned properties in Green Lake. And every extra click I force them to take is a chance that they're not going to do what I wanted them to do, which is essentially to be looking at this list of properties in Green Lake and ultimately become a lead on my website. So where's the best place I could send them? Well, in this case, I'm going to create a search for bank-owned or foreclosed properties in Green Lake. And I'm going to come down here and actually on my website, okay, I'm using a market leader website as a demonstration. There's a bunch of Keller Williams folks on here because we did just go to Keller Williams Family Reunion, and we invited a lot of you guys to come and join us for these classes. So you guys have sites like this on your e-edge, or if you've upgraded to Market Leader Professional. If you don't have a Market Leader site, that's okay. Okay, your website may perform in this fashion, but it needs to perform in this fashion. So if you don't have a site that does what I'm about to show you, you might want to consider the fact that your website's not helping you to be able to generate leads. So I'm going to get in here. I've performed the search already. Okay, I'm going to hit search. Now what happens is I get this big URL here at the top. I'm on servingyourteam.com / all sorts of stuff, listings / areas / some areas / property type / all this information up here. This is the actual page that I would like to send them to, right? Right now, these are the 4 foreclosed or bank-owned homes in Green Lake. So this is the page, right? And I'm going to copy that link. So I just highlighted it. I hit Command-C to copy it, or Control-C if you're on a PC. That's the link that I want to use right in here to send them to. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to say, insert or edit a link. I'm going to paste that big long link in there, and you notice it's this big long huge thing, right? Super long. Can we see? Oh, there it is. Look at that. All that. That's going to be where they land. Now I'm sending them to my website, which is where I want them. So I'm going to open it in the same window. Then I'm going to call it Foreclosed Properties in Green Lake. I'm going to hit insert. Okay. Now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to post my blog. Now, again, let's think about the process here. Somebody went to Google, they type in bank-owned properties in Seattle or in Green Lake, right? They've landed on my blog post, and they're really just looking for a list of the properties. Well, I've got it right here. Very obvious, above the fold. It's here. When they click on it, it's going to send them to my website, right? 4 properties automatically there. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to search around. They were after a certain set of properties. I'm giving them that set of properties. It's really obvious. It's there for them. This concept right here, the ability to link somebody to an exact point, will dramatically enhance your ability to capture leads. Okay, now on this sort of a website, Market Leaders, when the consumer would get in here and start looking at properties, it's going to kind of thrust some lead capture on them on this second property that they look at. Okay, so there's lead capture kind of built into this site. Now they have to give me their name and their email address if they want to continue looking at properties. Okay, so is that real obvious to everybody? Is everybody comfortable with what I just did there? Does anybody, I'm actually going to, I don't do this very often, but does anybody have a specific question about that sort of link in there? So this is a great question. Somebody asked, does this, when I create that link, does the information update on my website automatically? And the answer is yes. Okay, this link right here is pulling this information up, not based on necessarily on like just what's there today, but what would ever be there. Okay, so this URL right here is basically looking at the IBX feed that's being sent to my website, and it's saying what properties on the website today, and that could be 6 months from now, it could be 2 years from now, what properties on the website today meet this criteria. They're foreclosed and they're in Green Lake, which is really the only criteria I gave them for this particular search. Okay, let's say I was doing a search of, waterfront homes in Green Lake. I could come in here and do waterfront, right? And I might get rid of rental properties. I might get rid of mobile or farms or just empty lots. Maybe I'm just going to give them multifamily condos and single-family homes. Maybe I'm going to get rid of the auction stuff. But I'm giving them waterfront properties. So my blog post was about waterfront properties for sale in Green Lake, waterfront homes for sale in Green Lake. I'm going to come in here, perform the search. This would be the URL. And again, here's the 4 waterfront properties in Green Lake right now. Okay, that URL is going to be good 6 months from now, today, 2 years from now. Okay, so the landing page, again, becomes this, we want to make sure that we're getting them the information they want in as few clicks as possible. Every single extra click we force somebody to take is a chance that they're not going to do what we wanted them to do. You will never learn this lesson a harder way than doing Google pay-per-click advertising, okay? When we started out in the real estate business, when we first got into doing Google pay-per-click, and our website ranked organically for a lot of stuff, but we were, you know, enhancing our leads doing pay-per-click. And when we first started out, we didn't know what the heck we were doing. We were like, okay, sweet, we're going to bid on terms like homes for sale in Seattle, and then we're going to send them to our website. And they're going to land on our website, and it's going to be the greatest website ever, so they're going to get in here and start doing a search of Seattle, and they're going to figure it out. And, well, the problem is, again, every extra click that we made them take was the less likelihood that they did what we wanted. So we realized, all right, if we're going to do a pay-per-click campaign on homes for sale in Seattle, well, we better get pretty good at landing them on a list of homes in Seattle. And when we would come in here and do a search of all the homes in Seattle, right, you're going to get over 200, and it's going to start with the $14 million house that nobody's going to be able to afford. So we would do ours based on like an average price point in Seattle. So sometimes you can't necessarily get all the properties in there or the right set of the exact set of properties, but you want to get them close. So we would do stuff like this. We would land them on a set of properties between 400 and 300,000. Okay, maybe we could switch this from low to high, right? And this is actually giving us a different search variable in here, right? It sorts now based on the price that we determined, and that each different action we take on our website here can be a different sort of a search that we would use in a link. All right, so there's no shortage of ways that we can slice this thing up. If we were writing the home or the homes for sale in Seattle under 400,000 with a basement, something like that, something really long tail, right? We could get in here and create this search for those homes between 300 and 400,000 with a basement, right? Maybe we just wanted to look at all the short sales right now in Seattle. We could come in here and say, just give me the short sales. And again, we're only in the 300 to 400 price range. But here's the 78 short sale properties right now in all of Seattle in that price range. Okay, so we can really carve this up to try to match up with what it is that we're talking about in our blog posts. Super important, okay? If you learn anything from today's class, it should be that you need to have this ability to land consumers on a very specific place on your website. This next slide says, be specific, have a target. There's other places, like it doesn't have to just be in your blog post. Let's say you were going to do some Twitter stuff, or maybe you were going to use Facebook, right? In these scenarios, in almost all of our markets, there's kind of these desirable properties, right? And when you're sharing things online, let's say you want to try to share your website, but you're just not sure, like, what on my website would be of interest to somebody out there? Well, maybe it's the 7 bank-owned foreclosure properties in Finney Ridge, right, including a 2-bedroom condo for $129,000. So if I was going to share on Twitter, if I was going to share on Facebook, I'd want to make sure that I've got the ability to land on these very specific things. So in my case there, that Facebook post, it was Finney Ridge, right? So I'm looking at Finney Ridge. Oops, I want to do it from here. I'm looking at Finney Ridge, and I want to get them just the bank-owned properties that are available in Finney Ridge. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and say foreclosure properties in Finney Ridge, and I'm going to just open up that search. So again, it's 8 today. When I built that slide, it was 7. Okay, but this would be a link that I could share that's, hey, 8 great foreclosed properties in Finney Ridge, including a $144,000 2-bedroom condo. You don't find those around very often in our area, so that would be a pretty desirable property. Okay, heck, I could even link to the property itself. I could go out there and say, look, are you an investor? Now it's doing this because I've already been in the site. It's tracking my cookies. Okay, but I could link to that specific property. Investor in Finney Ridge looking for an awesome deal? Here it is. Okay, so links, right? We've got the concept and the idea of links down. So another thing that we could do is entice them with images. So these images that you see right here on the screen, click here to search new construction in Kirkland under 400,000. You know, forget the stairs, find homes with a master bedroom on the main floor in Seattle. I created these images at ipicky.com, and it's super easy. Like, these images literally took me 3 minutes to create. The first time you create one, it might take you 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but it's very easy to create these kinds of images at ipicky.com. So I created one for my bank-owned properties in Green Lake, Seattle, right? I've kind of got this image call to action, but right now it's just an image. So I've placed this image in my blog post, but I want to actually make it something where somebody can click back and find those foreclosed properties in Green Lake. So we need to go here real quick. I'll just do this again because this part is so important. I want to make sure that I can get, you know, Green Lake foreclosures. I've got them there. I'm going to search. So here's my, what was it, my 4 homes, right? I'm going to save that URL, that big, long, nasty URL, and I'm going to come back here to my blog post. I'm going to edit it. And now that I've got the image in there, I'm just going to click that image. Now, see these chains, right? I can't insert a link yet until I tell it where I want to insert the link at. So I'm going to click the image. Now I can make that image a link. So I'm going to paste my link in there. I'm going to insert it. Now I've got my image as a link that when I come back here and publish my blog post, if somebody clicked on that image call to action, okay, it's going to take them where? Where would we expect it to take them? Right to that page that we were talking about. Image calls to action. They're a great idea, right? People like to see these kind of visual things in the content that we're writing. So why not take an opportunity to make those calls to action, directing them back to very specific places? Some of you might have the ability to actually embed content right into your post. This example right here is from a company called RealBird. Some of you guys may have heard of RealBird. Some of you may use RealBird. RealBird has the ability to take like a map-based search and embed it right into your content. Now, the reason this is nice is because, you know, 6 months from now, when those sets of properties are different, right? It's different properties that are available. It's only going to have that stuff on the map. Now, if your website doesn't have this ability, not a big deal, right? This is just kind of an extra opportunity where you might be able to embed something right onto that post that shows them properties for sale. Maybe we could entice them with a deal. So you saw me do this in the image, but think about other kinds of deals or offerings that you could make to people, and I'll talk about some of those in a little bit, but making those things images, calls to action that are very obvious, right? And I'm just showing you how I did that in the post, but we saw that in the live post that I've been looking at. The bottom line here is always make sure we land them at the right spot. Now, I'm going to ask you at the end of this call to see if your website can do this. Okay, if you can't create these unique URLs, you're putting yourself in a really difficult position, because what's happening is you might only have the ability to like land them on your search page. If you can only land them on your search page, you might think on a one-off scenario where it's just one person, they landed on my blog post about, you know, foreclosed properties in Green Lake, they click the link, and now I've got them on this search page where they can search for anything and everything they want. You would hope in one case they would do the search. But what happens is, you know, when you get 100 people that landed on your blog post and 25 of them that clicked on the link, you're losing a bunch of those people if they don't get exactly what they wanted, which would have been foreclosed properties in Green Lake. So this is just ultra important. I can't stress it enough. And if you only learn one thing from today's call, it's creating links that land in very specific places. some of you guys may have search widgets, so if you use this Market Leader product already, or there's lots of other great IDX products out there that allow you to have these search widgets, you may try to build these into, some component of your blog. I'll show you an example of the search widget on the Active Rain University blog. So on Active Rain University blog, right here on the right-hand side, I have a widget. As somebody was reading through my blog, if they wanted to search for homes, they could get in here and start searching for houses directly off of my blog. Having a widget like this allows people, because not every blog post we write is going to, we're going to have an opportunity to link back to these specific places, and we might just be writing something that's more general in nature, 3 steps to get your home ready to sell, or 5 things to make sure that you're ready to buy your next house, or whatever it is. But we want to always kind of have somewhere this ability for people to get back to our website and search for homes. And so if you have the ability to add widgets, that's always a great, take advantage of that. Get it on the page somewhere. And in my case, I put it on this little sidebar right here. You can add stuff to your sidebar by coming into your blog settings right here. So up at the top where you see your name, if you click blog settings on Active Rain anyway, it brings you into an area where you can control what happens on the right-hand side here. All of this stuff in the blog description field is what ends up on the right-hand side of my blog. So these widgets generally become are generally delivered to you as a piece of code, right? Some HTML code that you could place somewhere, right? You'll see these widgets from, all Facebook has a widget, or Twitter has a widget. In this case, our website has a widget, and it allows us to add it in this blog description field right here from, again, our blog settings, okay? And then that's going to display whatever our widget is on the right-hand side of our blog here. Okay, so with the listings, right? We've kind of talked about listings. What are some of the more effective ways to get the listings in front of people as calls to action, as a means to drive them back to our website, hopefully a website that has lead capture capabilities inside of it. So the next kind of option is, or the next reason that consumers go online is home value. So how much is your home worth, right? Now, we can use these kind of image calls to action. Again, I created that one at iPicky. It took me 5 minutes to create that sort of an image call to action. You're going to see Zillow has widgets, and if you have a Zillow account, you can create a widget that when somebody does the search and it leads them back to Zillow, that the Zillow page is branded with you, right? So you might consider using like a Zillow widget. Another good way to capture people's information on the page, right? So on the blog post that you've actually written is to embed a form. And woofoo.com, and Carrie will send you the link for woofoo.com. It's a free service where you can create forms that become embeddable, which just means you get a piece of HTML code, and then you can embed that code into your blog post. So maybe it's, get a free valuation on your home, or ask me a question or something like that, right? This ability for you to just write on the page, get somebody to interact or give you contact information, right? A name, an email address, something of that nature. Again, Woofoo, it's a super easy, it's one of those things. The first time you get in there, it might take you 15 or 20 minutes. Heck, you might play with it for a half hour with all the cool things that it can do. But once you kind of figure out how to create one of these forms, right, then it doesn't take you a whole heck of a lot of time to create the next one. Video is another thing. I see a lot of people be very effective, or I like the way that people use video in terms of home values or generating seller leads for your blog. So this is a guy, I think his name's Sonny Kwan. He's an agent out of the Seattle area. He allows you to watch his listing presentation. So he uses a video, he's got it on YouTube, right? Like this video's had 10,000 views on it. But anytime he's talking about, you know, the price of homes, you know, are you interested in selling your home? Are you thinking about getting your home ready to sell? Any of this blog posts of that nature, he will include this video for somebody to be able to watch his listing presentation. It's not necessarily a call to action in that they're going to, you know, there's some lead capture form in the video or something of that nature, but it gives people a reason to want to pick the phone up and call Sonny, right? He's obviously impressed by his own listing presentation. I shouldn't say that, it sounds kind of pompous, but you get the point. He's proud enough of it that he's willing to put it out there for anybody to view. Just great reinforcement that he does a good job getting your home sold, and he's willing to show you his listing presentation up front. Client testimonial videos are another. It's not really a call to action in the traditional sense of, you know, somebody's going to click something and they're going to land on a form that allows me to get their name and their email address. But again, it's just great reinforcement that we're the person they should be calling, right? They're on our blog post. They can see this client testimonial video. This one's had 25,000 views, so these things get looked at. A real simple kind of call to action as it relates to home values is the ability to be able to link back to your website and, you know, get somebody's information on your website. And so, again, I'm using Market Leader, but there's all sorts of different website providers out there that have this sort of a page. And so in this case, right, I've got this sell tab on my website, so I could link back to this particular page. So it might say, hey, if you're interested in finding out the value of your home, you know, click here if you're interested in finding out the value of your Seattle home, right? I'm leading them back to a page where if they want to give me their address, right, I'll turn around and provide them a CMA or a value on their home. I'm really excited. In a couple of, I don't know, a week and a half or 2 weeks, we've got a class coming up. We're going to talk about generating seller leads. It's not on our schedule yet, but I got to get Jeremiah pinned down. That'll be a good class. So linking back to a page on our site, and again, this is just a simple link, something that we could do out of here. Maybe at the end, even though they were looking for bank-owned properties, if they were really looking through here and they have a home to sell, right, I could come in here at the end and I could link them back. Right? I could even make it this big call to action down here, looking to sell your Green Lake home, and I could just link that back to the sell page on my website. We're trying to get just as many little hooks out there as we can, right? So that might be a link back to our website.
Hey, Bob, we have a good question from Rob. He said that you mentioned you were going to change slightly the title for the image link. Is there any reason not to use the same bank-owned properties title as in the blog title?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this bank-owned properties in Green Lake, Seattle, I want to use that phrase 3 to 5 times, okay? And if I start to get over that number, the search engines may look at that as like I'm trying to stuff that exact keyword phrase in here. So it's here, okay? Now notice when I run my cursor over the screen how it pops up and it says foreclosed properties in Green Lake. That piece, those words right there get indexed by the search engine as words on my page. So they're looking at both the anchor text and the link title, and they're kind of contributing that to the overall keyword density on the page. So I've already used, you know, I've got my 1, my 2, and then hopefully I've got like a 3rd bank-owned property in Green Lake, Seattle. I've got a 3rd usage of it. You know, maybe I've got it here. I don't know. No, I used a different one there. I just don't want to get over my amount. So normally I would try to get as close to my, you know, my 5 in just the simple text on the page. I want to just make sure that all of my links don't end up, you know, with 3 more instances where I've used that exact same phrase and now all of a sudden I'm up at 8. So I'm just looking to kind of give the page some diversity. I don't want it to look like I'm trying to, even though I am trying, right? I'm trying to get that search engine to just think this is a really good page for this phrase. I don't want to overdo it. And then using kind of those similar phrases, that's probably more naturally how things would occur in the real world, right? If somebody was linking back to my website, it wouldn't be natural that every single time they use the exact phrase that I use and they use the exact title. And that starts to look like I'm, attempting to manipulate the search engines. And even though that is, I guess, is what I'm doing, I want to do it in kind of a less overt manner. So I'm really doing it because I don't want to go over my 5 usages of my exact keyword phrase. Okay, so again, the seller side, the leads for sellers, right? When people are online looking for home values, or I want to try to get that information in a lot of different places. Like if somebody's looking for foreclosed properties in Green Lake, they may still have a property to sell in Seattle somewhere. So I'm going to kind of include those links, in different spots. I might have something on the sidebar of my blog. That there's always opportunities to get links in there from a seller side. Okay, get free home valuations, or to get images in there where somebody can get back and give me their address. Okay, so they also want information, right? So I said this is this huge bucket, right, that kind of collects all the rest of the reasons why people go online as it relates to real estate. So again, on the market leader sites, and you may not have a market leader site, that's fine. There are other website providers out there that have all of this kind of data as well. There's also like third-party providers, places like, I think like Move, or like the Top Producer has some stuff like this in it. Altos Research is another provider out there that provides this kind of bucket of information, right? The market statistics, the school reports, an ability for people to compare areas, crime statistics, community reports, these sorts of things. These buttons we will actually give to you guys. You can use these. These are ones that we created for a class that we did in the past. These kinds of calls to action can be, again, very effective from that informational standpoint, right? So if somebody was looking for homes for sale, foreclosed homes in Green Lake, right? I might want to, give them a chance to view school reports in that area. I might want to give them a chance to get a report of the community. Now, where am I going to link this stuff to? Well, again, on the market leader sites, and your site may have something similar, and I hope it does. You have this ability, you have this kind of market insider option here. So I can get in here and based on a certain zip code, I can get all sites. Okay, so it's going to lock me up here. Let's see if I can get past this. Give me 1 second here. Let's clear our cookies out. Remove individual cookies. So sometimes your website gets smarter than you. And we got to remove all the cookies so they don't know who we are anymore. All right, so this Market Insider, we could come in here and say, I want to look at a certain area. And it's going to give me this kind of, a page that I can link to that's a market report for some specific zip code of Seattle, right? And there's all sorts of interesting information that I might want to share with people in here. There's, recently sold information. There's, they can get over here and look at, this tab right here. Community info has income and crime and weather and what kind of shopping stuff's nearby. And then there's all sorts of things that somebody might be interested in if they were moving to the area, local schools, right? All of these different options in here are things that I could link back to, right, with some good image calls to action. So, hey, are you interested in, school reports for the area? I could link you back to my local schools page. Let's see if we can get some schools. There we go. So I was kind of thinking, how can we, use the things that people might be interested in to get them back to our website to hopefully turn them into a lead. We could drive them to forms. So here's one of the best examples that I've seen of somebody driving people to a form. And my friend Ben Kinney, he's a real estate agent with Keller Williams. He does a good job of lead generation. I mean, that's this guy's lifeblood is his ability to generate leads. So this is a form here where he's just created a form letting you know, hey, you're going to get a free list of King and Pierce foreclosures, bank-owned and short sale properties. And he's just asking for your information. Right? This is a form, again, that he created in Wufoo, and he just made the form a blog post. I mean, this is a particular post in his blog. I think if we were to come, and this is on an outside blog that he has, but I bet you that we could get this post to come up. So here's the actual post itself, right? So he just created a form, and how does he use this? He might use it in his social media, right? So he might be on Twitter saying, hey, looking for, interested in a free list of bank-owned foreclosures and short sales in King County, right? And he's driving them back to this page. He might be on his Facebook doing this. He's definitely doing this on Google. And he uses a pay-per-click strategy where he bids on all sorts of crazy keywords for foreclosures in King County. And again, he's driving people back to this form here. So what was this person looking for? Foreclosures in King and Pierce County, right? He's just using the form as an ability to capture their information. Now he knows what it is that they want, and he's able to deliver that information to them, via his CRM or however he follows up with his leads. But we need to figure out something of value to give these people. So it might be best price properties, right? Foreclosures and short sales, discounts on services, free resources. So if you're, if you're creating blog posts, let's say you have 8 different blog posts that relate to the idea of short selling, right? Put those together into one kind of, I don't know if it's a PDF or something like that, where you've got this kind of something you can withhold, right, that somebody might be interested in. Might be pocket listings. Here's how you could, this is kind of we don't allow you to upload PDFs for someone to download yet on ActiveRain, okay? But if you wanted to allow somebody to download a PDF, here's the couple of steps. You'd have to first host it somewhere, okay? So you can host these things in Google Docs. At ActiveRain, we use a company called Wistia, so wistia.com. So we upload our PDF to Wistia. We can create a form with Wufoo. So the form says, hey, get your free short sale guide. All I need is your name and your email address, right? Then once they fill the form out, there's an auto reply on the form that leads them to the PDF. So it gives them the link to Wistia with the PDF. This might sound challenging, but it's not, right? As long as you have a PDF, you upload it, you create a small little form on Wufoo, and when you go through the process of creating a Wufoo form, again, that first time it might take you 10 or 15 minutes, but it's really simple, right? We create what fields we want, and then it says, okay, when somebody submits this, what do I do to them? Well, we could send them an email. That's one option. We can redirect them to a page. That's another option, right? So we can figure out how do we want to deliver that information, but all we're looking for is their contact info, right? Their email address or their phone number or something of that nature.